I don't think it's harder for a woman in modern Australia to express ambition.
The sexism, by the misogyny.
Prime Minister, I read that you knit, and you were knitting for friends' babies. It was also mentioned your media advisor forbade photos of knitting. Why can't we see you doing ordinary things?
I was very personally offended by those comments.
Surely this will resonate with everyday Australians.
Well, I'm not sure it would make the most fascinating TV, me knitting, you know, there's one row.
Misogyny, sexism.
I did talk about knitting in a recent newspaper interview, and there was a little discussion about whether or not a photo should be taken of the knitting, but it wasn't.
Is it because they don't want people to see you with dangerous weapons in your hand?
I am always offended by sexism.
You're obviously not a man who wields knitting needles all that often, because I don't think you'd really describe them as a dangerous weapon.
Well,
certainly not the bamboo ones.
I certainly wouldn't want one in my back. Let's move to politics next.
Because I'm always offended by statements that are anti-women.
And I think that there has been a shrillness, if you like, to a lot of the current domestic political debate that puts people off. And if people are put off politics, then I think that's a dreadful thing.
There's this thing called sexism. Oh, my Lord, there's this thing called misogyny.
When did you fall in love with my Prime Minister?
I think probably about 3 or 4 months after we started dating.
And you weren't after her for the job because she didn't have it.
The sexism, by the misogyny.
She was just a strikingly good-looking redhead.
True.
I was offended.
No girls allowed.
Can't you?
No girls allowed. No, I'll let you two enjoy the shed.
Come in and have a look, Charles.
Let's step out of earshot then.
You're welcome.
The PM appreciates the importance of the man's shed.
Misogyny, sexism.
How good is the Prime Minister to stand back and...
She's doing as she's told. That's really good. No, she can't hear it. It's fabulous.
I'm hanging on the outside of the shed as instructed.
I was very personally offended by those comments.
Oh, I'm a fairly calm person. In fact, I'd say a very calm person. So I don't mind doing it day after day. It doesn't worry me. And you have a bit of fun too with them from time to time.
I am always offended by sexism.
You remember your maiden speech in Parliament?
I certainly do.
It's often quoted that you talked about a public who'd become disbelieving, listening to politicians whom they believed probably didn't even believe what they were saying. That struck a note with a lot of people, but nothing's changed, has it?
Because I'm always offended by statements that are anti-women.
Well, there's only one Julia, the one sitting here.
There's this thing called sexism. Oh, my Lord, there's this thing called misogyny.
And Prime Minister, of course, every girl enjoys a good wedding.
I think...
You know where this is going?
I think I can probably tell.
If the Prime Minister wants to, politically speaking, make an honest woman of herself.
Tim, you said if the question is to be popped, you are going to be the popper and the Prime Minister the poppy.
That's true, absolutely.
When will that happen?
Certainly not any time soon, I don't think. One wedding, I think, is enough this year.
If the Prime Minister wants to, politically speaking, make an honest woman of herself,